Hey guys, what's up? It's Rick Cordero. So today I want to show you one of my favorite lights by Luxli. It's my favorite series of lights. It's the most versatile light that I've ever used. It's really amazing for events, for making short films, documentaries, you name it. It's just like fits any kind of situation. So what I want to show you is the brand new, super excited about this, Luxli Cello. And so I got this just recently, started playing around with it, and essentially it's a 10-inch version of the Luxli Viola, which is the first light that they came out with. There are some differences and some more upgrades other than the size, obviously. I'm going to show you guys what those are. Just a quick overview of what this is. If you've never used a Luxli light before, it's basically a fully customizable RGB light. You could dial it in to any color temperature from I think 3K to 10K, as well as the whole gamut of RGB colors. So that's really awesome. Not only that, you can control it through Bluetooth, and it's just really well built. The casing and how the LEDs are sort of like encased in this kind of protective, bulb-like plastic is really great. I never really found myself having to use so much diffusion on these because just the spread just seems really solid, just like right out of the box. And that's the point. You don't really need to add stuff to the light. You don't need to add diffusion or even filters, especially particularly for this cello. So there's a feature on here that's brand new, that's different from the Viola, in that you have a filter mode, which means that you could dial in any color temperature, and then in addition to that, you can apply a filter. So it simulates putting a filter on top, whether it's CTO or Scarlet Rose or something. I'll show you guys in a minute how that works, but yeah, it simulates putting a filter on top of a tungsten or daylight balanced light, which is pretty amazing, to be honest. First things first is you notice the size difference, right? So the size difference from the Viola is significant. Looks like it, but it's pretty similar. Like it's I really like how the edges are pretty much the same. You don't have the similar kind of bevel over here like the Viola, and you have a little more. You see these screws covering the casing, so you have a little more security as far as like I think it's just a little more heavy duty to have all of this mounted with this many screws on top. Like the Viola, you get the 1/4-20 mounts, right? So you have the 1/4-20 mounts right there. Some differences in the layout of the USB port and the power port. The USB port is actually to update the firmware. So they release firmware updates with this, which is pretty awesome, which means they can introduce more features and effects, and you could just update it through the USB. So the power port, and I think this is a Bluetooth button. So very similar, located all over here. So they kind of like push everything on here, and then the knobs are pretty similar as well. So these are the adjustment knobs for the different colors and brightness levels. And then again, which is awesome, they're using the battery, very similar battery. So it's the same exact battery, like these Sony L series batteries, which last a really long time. Great. So let's check out some of the features here. So I'm going to plug it. I'm going to not plug it in. I'm going to put the battery on and power on here. Oh, before we start, and it also comes with these two accessories. You get the shoe mount, right? Standard shoe mount, ball head, really, really, you know, it's large, but you can mount this on a stand and on top of your camera. But I like that it's heavy duty because this is a heavy light. And then your charger. So that's all the stuff that comes in the box. Let's start with the first feature, which is your standard like kind of color temperature values here. So as you can see, and hopefully some of this is reflecting, you'll be able to see kind of how that works. This knob controls the color temperature, and like I said, it goes all the way down from 3K all the way up to 10K. So great. So typically when I'm like in mixed lighting setups, I like to dial it to around 4700-ish. Let's check out another feature. So the next feature is the filter mode. So dope. So I dialed in, right? 4700K is my color temperature. Now check this out. You guys could see that. So it's basically putting a gel on top of my dialed in color temperature light. And so you have all of these different names, you know. You got half minus green, full minus green, 1/8 plus green. Let's see, something's a little familiar, like I mentioned, the CTO. So cool. So that's the CTO. And let me just stand up so you guys can maybe get both angles here. So that's 1/8 CTO. I'll dial it up a little bit bigger so you can see it. That's 1/4 CT. That's 1/8 CTO. Sorry. 1/4 CTO. 1/2 CTO. 3/4 CTO. And that's full CTO. And that full CTO on 4700 color balance light would be this orange, and that's really awesome that it can do that. That's something that I don't know, is just like kind of mind-blowing, to be honest, you know, for such a kind of small light, but like super powerful. I mean, this thing is really bright. And then this is the RGB mode. So this is very similar to the Luxli Viola. You know, you have your range of RGB values, right? The whole spectrum here. So the app connects directly through Bluetooth, pretty straightforward. So what else you can do is you can adjust the brightness. So by dialing this up and down, you can see the brightness going up, right? And then you can also, let's see, adjust like the RGB values by clicking the color wheel. White balance again, and then this is the dope part, yeah. So you could dial into the preset white balance, 3200, 4300, 5600, 6400, 7200, 10K, and then you can choose whether you want to use a filter or not. And so with the touch of a button, you throw a filter on there, and then you bring it to, let's go our 1/4 CTO, 1/2 CTO, full CTO, and then you can also just now adjust your white balance. So super dope, adjusting white balance with a full CTO filter on top. So here are the strobe effects. You have something called cycle and speed. And so whatever RGB value you had dialed in, it'll remember that, and then you can loop your effect to go at the speed that you want. So sweet. So that's pretty straightforward. And then we could do this rainbow effect. I think I might have covered this before, but it basically starts and stops on a different hue. And you could simulate, put on loop, you could simulate a cop car siren, police car. So another thing is that these LEDs use something called bicolor phosphor LEDs. And I guess what Luxli says is that it comprises two types of LEDs, composite of their color temperatures, create superb color accuracy throughout the white color spectrum. So it's like really accurate. Has something TLCI rating of over 97, CRI rating of over 95. So I'm assuming that means that it has something to do with color accuracy. But it looks pretty accurate to me. I've used these on, like I said, a lot of shoots, and yeah, it just it's mind-blowing how accurate it is. You know, you get what you pay for. If you've ever bought like a cheap LED light, you know that it usually doesn't look like what it's advertised to be. But these have never failed me. All right, so show you guys the next effect, which is the sine wave, and pretty straightforward. Creates a wave of whatever color you pick. Dope. So that's a quick overview of the Luxli Cello. Like I said, one of my favorite lights, one of my favorite series of lights by Luxli. There's a rumor that a 1x1 of this light is coming out, and that's what I'm super excited for. I think that a lot of I've used these lights on, like I said, numerous situations, and you know, whether it's a gaffer or a producer or whoever, once they see these lights, they end up buying you know, a few of them. It's really just a great light to stick anywhere, super lightweight. I think I've used my Luxli lights more than I've actually used my sort of my bigger 1x1s. It just doesn't have the same versatility these days. Like you know, just to be able to change from tungsten to daylight is just like not enough for, I think, modern filmmaking. I think you want to be able to like really get some interesting colors like on the fly and not have to, especially if you're running and gunning and don't have like a huge budget, you want to have that versatility of changing the colors and getting really deep, rich, saturated colors. And the last film I did, the last short film I did called Bespoke, it was a science fiction movie. You know, the lighting, I didn't want it to feel like this super gritty, realistic, dystopian style lighting. You know, I really was cognizant of putting colors, whether it was like, you know, contrasting wardrobe or, you know, just like location stuff where I wanted to add a splash of color here or there and not really have to worry about where that light source was coming. You know, it was just kind of informing the scene and complementing the wardrobe and the performances. And it's sci-fi, so you can kind of like get, you know, you have some creative freedom with it. And it was like my favorite, one of my favorite projects, because I was able to light based on the mood, and having like the Luxli and the cello to put these splashes of color in the frame was just really, really great. And like, you know, if it didn't work, it didn't work, but be able to like throw a color up like in 5 seconds was just really amazing. So definitely urge you guys to check this out. Luxli's killing it with these lights. I have never really seen another company who's really taking the feedback from filmmakers and implementing it in their projects. So in their products, sorry. So if you have any questions or comments, hit me on the blog, runplayback.com, peep these lights, and I'm out. Peace.